This is episode 42. This is Sports Debate Tuesday. That's Rob McLean. The episode starts right now. All around me are familiar faces, worn out spaces, worn out places. Listen, when you lose, you gotta shut up. But it don't mean I don't have that same energy. We got a lot to talk about. The Brooklyn Nets, are they going to add a beard to their lineup? Is James Harden going to join them? Of course, we got our NFL Pick 6. Got winners and losers, host against the guests. But first things first, let's talk about the elephant in the room, because from this point on, for the rest of the weeks, it seems like the Buffalo Bills are all over the news, in my opinion, in a bad way, courtesy of Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray brings Rob McLean, episode 42. This is Sports Debate Tuesday. That is Rob Keep It McLean. I am Jason DeBeers. Good. Now we move on. What's good, Rob? Tell them what's good.
What's good?
All right. So, Kyler Murray, former Oklahoma quarterback, Boomer Sooner, second-year quarterback in the NFL, brings new meaning to the term Hail Mary as he heaves one into the end zone and beats the Buffalo Bills 32-30. Rob, your reaction on the throw, and your reaction to their victory, and as far as momentum, where you think this can take the Cardinals.
Yeah, I thought it was a great throw. I think if you just put yourself in that situation, of course, I think they'd love to have win a little more handily, a little bit better fashion, but a win is a win. And I just think that they're growing as a team. They're still a young team. Look at this. I mean, Kyler just gets out of trouble all the time. He's got some of the quickest feet I've ever seen. Like, he literally can run at somebody and then run away from them before they can even take a step. Like, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I just think he's a talent, and now he's got a wide receiver. All these kind of things came together this year. DeAndre Hopkins, man, he high points balls. Andy Isabella, another super speedster. I just think they just, same with the Bills. I think they're a team growing and learning and seeing what they can do. I just think the Cardinals have a very bright future, especially in the immediate term, in the next 2 or 3 years. But I think they're just going to keep exciting teams, winning against teams they're not supposed to win against, because teams are not really sure exactly how to prepare for them. And then against teams they're not, maybe they're trying to do something a little different, or they're expecting to kind of play a better game against. They kind of, lose sight and maybe, lose against teams they're not supposed to lose against. So I still think, Arizona is a big dark horse no matter what their record's going to be, but at the end of the day, they're going to have a great chance to get to the playoffs this year.
Rob, keep him McLean. It's no secret. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. Now, 2 days ago, I was a prisoner of the moment, almost in tears, because there was a lot of drama in that game, and there was a lot of back and forth action with two very capable quarterbacks who I think both of us concede weren't having their best day as far as like producing stats and being dominant, but the element of being fighters was, to be redundant, visibly omnipresent. Right? Josh was struggling, but he was a fighter, and you knew he's going to keep out gunning and slinging and running. Kyler Murray, not one of his best games, lost the ball, I believe, on a fumble, got a ball intercepted off of Fitzgerald's hand. It like bounced off his hand and into one. So, I mean, you don't fault him too much for that, but But 22 or 32 sound like good numbers, but not really what you think. 245, right? A score and an interception. Josh Allen, 32 or 49. He was a throwing machine because his running game was nowhere to be found, right? Zach Moss, 20 yards rushing. Singletary, 4 rushes on 15 yards. I mean, if your leading rusher is your quarterback, Josh Allen, 38 yards rushing on 7 attempts, that's a problem. So the man has 50 attempts. There's going to be more mistakes. So 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Quarterback rating, nothing to write home about. 81% for Josh, 96% for Kyler, which is actually better than average. I really loved watching the game because you got the sense, and I know obvious is obvious, but I gotta say it like this: you got the sense that whoever had the ball last was going to win. They weren't going to fail. They weren't going to get picked off. They weren't going to fumble. They weren't going to go out on 4 downs. Whoever got the ball last was going to win. And I would have bet my house Buffalo did, because when Josh Allen scored, he only left 34 seconds on the clock. So, but not this guy. This dude, let's go back and show it again. This one, all right, first of all, D-Hop, we're not going to talk that much about, because D-Hop, there's a reason why they call him D-Hop. The man jumped over 3 people, okay? And you can't think of 3 better defenders than Poyer, Hyde, and Josh Norman was in this game at this game for COVID. But 3 of your most experienced defenders, and this man has freaking, I don't know what you call it. What would they call that in the 80s, that they put that stuff on their hands and make it stick? Stick them, right? Stick
them hands.
It's just ridiculous. And Kyle Murray's like, I think it happened. Okay, all right, whatever, this and that. But I want to see the throw again. I want to show you how difficult this throw is to make.
I mean, yeah, he was doing
Watch
on the
this.
run. He did it
right-handed quarterback
his body.
rolls to his left, shakes a tackle. That tackle, yeah, that guy makes that tackle, the game's over, right? So this is the guy, instead of rolling to his right, which a lot of right-handed quarterbacks do, he rolls left. And manages to shake a tackle where if that guy just stayed in his lane and didn't try to go for like the highlight hit where like Kyler Murray left you hugging air, if he just stayed in his lane, I think Kyler Murray probably gets the ball off anyway, but at least he has help coming in and it doesn't buy Kyler more time. So now going to your left, almost running out of bounds, goes against your throwing mechanics. Now you have to posture up this way and then let the ball loose. And then it's just a very, very difficult throw. And some people call it lucky, but you and I both know that luck is the residue of design. And it is a little lucky, but at the same time, you have to make the throw. Like Kawhi Leonard got that shot, Game 7. Remember the one that like tapped off the rim like 5 different times? They call that a lucky shot, but he still has to make the shot. He still has to get the ball off. It's not going to leave his hands and have an understanding and empathetic, have empathy to his plight and just going on its own. So, but I'm over it. Because 7-3 right now for the Buffalo Bills is a good problem. Do we want 8-2 going into the bye week? Sure, but 7-3 is your worst case scenario against a team that's competing just like you. That if they played that game again, it could go either way. Whoever has it last. I'm just very. I want to talk about Buffalo because I know the whole week is about Kyler Murray, but I'm very, very blessed to have a quarterback on the team that I love that's going to fight every week and that isn't afraid to make big throws. And because everyone says everyone says they want to be in that moment, but they really don't. Be real. They don't. They don't want that sauce. They don't want that A1. I want to ask you a question, but if there's something you wanted to add to that, you could definitely answer that at the same before you answer this, please.
I was just gonna say that I feel like Kyler Murray, man, he's just the same thing you're talking about with his foot, like with him throwing that pass. It's really just about footwork. A lot of players will just throw the ball off balance, off their shoulder, or just turn around a little bit and just fling it like Aaron Rodgers does.
Watch this shit again. Go ahead.
He goes, like he's throwing in the pocket on the sideline, that's how his feet become when he throws the ball. He's not facing the sideline. He's facing, his receiver, and then he throws the ball with perfect technique. And a lot of that is just him being fast enough to get his feet underneath him and throw that ball. So it's just, I just think he has phenomenal balance as a player. He's incredibly fast, and he does it as a quarterback. You know, he doesn't do it as a running quarterback. He does it as a quarterback. And I still think he has a lot of growing up to do as a quarterback, in the pocket, finding his men on, short and intermediate routes. But I think he's just a phenomenal quarterback and great things to come.
Do you enjoy the liberty that the head coach gives him to be a running quarterback? Because I know a lot of these coaches want their quarterbacks to be traditional. No, I need you to be more of a pocket passer. And I think if you look at some of the quarterbacks where like their ability to scramble and run and break one is part of their game, but at the same time, when you end up with a wrong coach, and they veer away from that too much, they lose their value as a quarterback. And next thing you know, people think they're not good quarterbacks. So my question to you is, do you enjoy the freedom that Kingsdale's given him? I mean, 61
Absolutely.
yards rushing.
Within reason though. Like Pat Mahomes can be a running quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't have to because he is such a talent behind the tackles. He's yay tall, he's yay big. He doesn't need to do that. Kyler Murray, as good as he's going to be as a quarterback, he's going to need to run. Michael Vick, as great of a quarterback as he could have been in the pocket, he was still 6'1", under 200 pounds. That's just the way it is. He was a
Yeah.
small guy.
And
Uh,
Murray's 5'10", and I'm being gracious.
exactly. And I think this is the problem with what's happened with Russell Wilson is I think he's a great quarterback, but I don't see him making a lot of, passes to tight ends short over the middle. I don't see him making a lot of passes even over the middle a lot. A lot of them are deep passes, a lot of them are to the sidelines, and that's not a problem, but it becomes a tendency. So it's easily defendable where if maybe Russell Wilson could run a bit more, just a couple more times a game and show his athleticism a little bit, it could open up the field. And I'm not saying it's something he should do. I'm just saying that I think it's something that where as a defensive coach and Pete Carroll, you're kind of not, going that route. You're kind of just letting him kind of improvise and do his own thing within the plays that you choose. And that's why I think it's amazing that not only is he allowing him, but he's making him a better runner. You can tell that he's trying to not get hit. He's trying to get as many yards as he can and not get hit. He's not just trying to slide. He's trying to go out of bounds. He's trying to make everybody miss and go out of bounds. He's trying to make everybody miss and then get somewhere that's safe. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So it's
very
just,
Russell Wilson-esque. Yeah.
yeah, like very, very smart individual runner. A lot better than Russell Wilson, though, I have to say. Not the size,
Probably
but
now,
he's
yeah.
just unbelievably faster and quicker than any quarterback. Honestly, any quarterback I've seen. He's not as fast as Michael Vick, but
No.
damn, I have never seen anybody quicker in a small space.
No, he look, as far as speed, definitely. I mean, people think Russell Wilson's fast and Mahomes are fast, but they're not really fast quarterbacks. They're just mobile. They have mobility, they got good lateral movement, and their first step is big. We could say the same thing about Josh Allen. I mean, maybe he has breakaway speed, maybe he doesn't, but he has good mobility and he has good lateral movement, and that first step. This is why people can catch him at the end, but that first step, very much like the short white guys like Welker or if you remember Wayne Corbett. There's another guy out there, Edelman. They're good first step guys. That's how they become so open, and not because,
Right.
like you said, because they're fast, but because they have twitch quickness that goes with that, and that's attributed to the quarterback. I mean, dude, you want to talk about breakaway speed for a quarterback? Daniel Jones is the guy I think of. That's the
Man,
guy
that's crazy.
that's the guy just running through the ranks. 19 miles, 21 miles an hour. Dude ran so
Out of
fast 2 weeks
nowhere.
ago he fell on his own. Only the invisible man could get him. Rob, my question. All right. Are they the best team in the AFC West right now? I'm asking you this because they're playing the Seahawks this Thursday, and I'm not letting either one of us off the hook. Let's come with that energy, boy.
Um, so the best in the AFC West right now, yes. And I say that just because the last couple games, Seahawks have been
Including
down,
Seattle.
Arizona's been up,
Yeah.
but over the course of the season, for me, it's longevity, and what the Seahawks have established over many seasons, but like just over this season is, they've had new pieces, they've had an established team for a long time, and they usually come out pretty much 13-3, 12-4. And, I'm not saying it's not possible that the Cardinals can't do that, but they have to not only beat Seattle twice, They have to not only beat everybody in their division twice, they have to actually not lose more than 3 4 more games. It's
Yeah.
a tough sell. And I'm not saying they're not a team that can't do it, but that's saying they're going to win the next 6 games is very difficult.
No, no
So
doubt.
I just see the Seahawks, maybe even the Cardinals beat the Seahawks this week. I could definitely see that happening.
They've beaten
Um,
them in Seattle last year when they
right,
weren't even that
right.
good. They're just, so yeah.
I mean,
As
I
to the
still think
question,
Seattle has its cracks as a,
yeah,
as a, as a playoff team. But I think that as a division rival, they take them very seriously. So, yeah, I could definitely see the Arizona Cardinals beating them this week, but even Seattle coming out at the top of the division at the end of the year.
yeah. For me, the best team in the NFC West is Seattle. I mean, we'll know. Listen, when the facts change, so does my opinion. Okay, so let's say they play Thursday and he beats Seattle again in Seattle. Then, um, I mean, it's really easy to change my mind on Monday morning quarterback the next Tuesday's sports debate. But right now, the fun of it is just talking about it before that game happens. So. Um, do I say it definitively? No. I mean, just good coaching, good quarterback in previous competitions has beaten Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks with lesser talent. So I mean, now they have some talent, and Drake actually said people said Drake had a pedestrian game, and he did, but that's a pedestrian 100 yards rushing. So now they do have a running game. So I mean, and they've always had good secondaries, which again goes back to how impressed I am with Josh Allen. I mean this, Arizona Peterson and them guys, they find a way to hit you legally, man. You just don't want to,
Buda
you
Baker,
know.
yeah, they got
They're,
a great
they're the tough.
secondary.
They're the hardest. They're the most brutal two-hand touch team. Like when you catch the ball, they pushing you and you're flying, dude. They're the most brutal two-hand touch team you ever gonna see in the NFL. All right, so here's my other question before we jump on to the other thing, because we got a lot of this we're going to answer in quick question. And of course, we have our section of shame or no shame. And let's not forget about the NFL Pick Six. Got to go through that. NFL standings right now. I have a question for you, a fun question. Which team or which division has the best chance of sending all 3 teams to the playoffs? Meaning the division champ and both wildcard teams. Actually, there are no both wildcard teams. There's 7 spots this year for the playoffs, right?
I'm not even sure how the playoff
All right, look,
runs
I'll
this
I'll
year.
stick to the narrative. Which division has a chance of sending 3 teams to the playoffs? I'll give you 2 choices. I'll narrow it down. Is it the AFC North, which is the Steelers, Ravens, Browns, and Bengals, or is it the NFC West, which is the Niners, Seahawks, Rams, and Cardinals? Now, I'm going to give you a flash pick of the North first. Check it out. It's pretty freaking competitive, huh?
Yeah, it
I
is.
mean,
And,
even
hope the
at two and
Browns hold up. I just think the Bengals are going to show up at the end of the year
I
and maybe
know,
screw all that
and
up.
ruin and ruin everybody's
You know what I
day.
mean?
All right, so
And
that's
the Browns
one.
fall off.
And let's go to the NFC West. Let's go to the NFC West, 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 West. And boom, excuse me. Let's do that. NFC West. Look at that. That's
Yeah,
tight,
I
dude.
mean the Seahawks and the 3 seed, like come on,
Yeah.
and the Niners. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Niners, but
Well,
um,
assuming there's 7 teams, look over here. And these two are going to probably hold hands going to the playoffs together, right? If they keep winning out. And looking at their
mhm,
schedule, right?
yeah, I
But
thought the
man,
Panthers would be a little more competitive, but yeah, so I mean definitely NFC West.
yep.
I think the Rams are a little surprising to me, but you know records and defense don't lie, in my
Dude, look
essence.
at
And then
that.
Cardinals and Seahawks, I think they're both like really solid offensive teams, solid defense. You
But
know,
look
they'll
at
make the
that.
playoffs. I don't know what damage they'll do in the playoffs, but I definitely think that would be my divisional pick.
But look at that, dude. Like the Niners, the team that was in the Super Bowl last year. One of the best defenses and one of the best
Right.
run blocking teams. Wow, man, you're right. That's got some depth. But hey, look, good question to ask, good problem to have. And For me, I'm going the other way. I think it's the AFC North. I think Pittsburgh at some point has to lose, and that gives the Ravens a chance to catch up. Cleveland has, I think they have 2 tough games left. I think they have the Buffalo Bills, but stylistically, they've always done well against the Bills, and that's a concern for me. And fun conversation to have. My coach of the year right now is Tomlin. I mean, 9-0 with just a name. As far as name people or franchise people, the only person you really know on that team is Roethlisberger, and they're undefeated. So, big up to Chase Claypool. That was one of the guys. And remember we were talking about the draft. You're like, dude, watch out for this cat from Notre Dame that we thought was a tight end. He was so big.
Mm-hmm.
How about Jefferson? Jim Jefferson from
Justin Jefferson,
LSU cat out there catching his behind off Minnesota.
Yeah.
He was our cat from the Dallas Cowboys, still catching balls regardless of who the quarterback is. CeeDee Lamb.
Why do I keep forgetting? Yeah, CeeDee Lamb. Why do I keep forgetting his name?
What a great year, huh? For drafting wideouts, you know.
Really great. Yeah.
I mean, and look, Justin Herbert, good quarterback. You know, the future is going to be built around our LSU cat in Cincinnati. And Tua, 3-0. The Miami's 3-0 under him. So they're looking,
glad to hear that.
Aren't they looking prettier, more prettier than that?
It's like Miami's great. Oh, it's been great.
Oh, man. So cool. So listen, let's dip to the NBA a little bit because I miss it already. And I was really, really excited that they quarantined for a price and no positive tests, which led to this really exciting finals. You know, the overachieving Heat lost to the apparent favorite to win, the odds-on favorite. In fact, maybe the favorite to win next year too. But the balance of power has a significant chance of shifting, Rob, if James Harden goes to the Nets. My question to you, Rob, is James Harden a fit for the Nets, and where in the Eastern Conference landscape do you see them finishing with James Harden?
I mean, for me, it's all about Kevin Durant getting back healthy. So that whole team's success really, thrives around that. But if, let's say, hypothetically, all three, you get James and you get Kyrie healthy because he's been having his injury issues as well. And you get Kevin Durant healthy, and you have James Harden, kind of like the big three setup they had in OKC way back in the day. I mean, I really like it because, James Harden is exactly what he was when they drafted him in OKC. And, we all thought he was more when he came to Houston. He was dropping 59 a game, and, he was just on a tear. And then, 5-6 years later, still not really playing, all-pro defense. He's still not really, doing anything but, putting up buckets. And that's not a bad thing, but that's not a cornerstone franchise player. So he may be one of the greatest six-man player of all time. It doesn't take anything away from him. If you can't defend, man, they're going to have to find ways for you to score. So, he's what's tough with him is he's a ball dominant guard, and he's a great assist guy. But is that going to take the ball out of Kyrie's hands? And Kevin Durant is not a greedy guy, but is that going to take the ball out of Kevin Durant's hands? So it just at that point when there's only one ball to go around and everybody's a ball dominant guard, and Kyrie actually might be the best off the ball player. It doesn't really mix to me in my mind, but again, if you have shooters, anything's possible in the league. So they could put up 150 a game and not even care about defense. So I just love it that there's a real reputable big three against true competition now. So I'd love to see that in Brooklyn. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Well, everyone thinks that the East is easy, but when you take into account that the Raptors have better coaching, and you take into account that the Milwaukee Bucks are probably going to be first or second like they were last year, they might be easier, but they're definitely top heavy. So for me to say that they're automatically going to finish first in the Eastern Conference, I have a slight cause to pause, but with the overload of talent, it wouldn't be. I wouldn't be exactly going out on a limb to say, oh, they're gonna finish first in the Eastern Conference. Now, as to the team that can take these that can go all the way to the finals, the NBA finals, I have huge cause to pause, and it's because James Harden is joining this team. All right, it's not, to me. It's not about pleasing him and giving him the ball enough. But it's about keeping Kyrie and Kevin Durant happy. Kyrie Irving wasn't happy on not getting the ball enough with LeBron James, and LeBron James is one of the he's one of the best passers in the history of the NBA. I thought he's passed Bird in a lot of those statistical categories. So it's one of those things where head coach Steve Nash is gonna have to find them ways to keep them happy. Also, in light of the fact that D'Antoni's joining the coaching staff as an assistant coach, who I thought was more part of the problem than part of the solution for Houston, there's just a ton of red flags, right? ISO ball. Listen, the chance of an ISO player winning an NBA title is equivalent to an
To
NFL
Carmelo Anthony
quarterback.
getting the title.
Yeah, or equivalent to a mobile
Honestly.
quarterback winning a Super Bowl,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You know,
It's just
you notice.
I
You
hope
notice.
I,
No,
I
you
wish
notice.
it.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, I wish it to happen, but it's just, very, very difficult. Just the way the game is going to be played at that point. And I agree with you. I do.
Yeah, man.
It's like asking for a team with a big man, to win nowadays. It would be great,
It's
but
really
it's
hard.
just not realistic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, they are good enough to help you finish first or second in the conference, right? Because
Right.
you have this healthy balance of teams that are competitive, that are top tier, but you're definitely going to have teams like the New York Knicks who are more than willing to lay down and die for you and get your autograph and take pictures with you at the end. Maybe roast some marshmallows and sing camp songs when it's all said and done. Yeah, disguised Nick bashing, and not really. So yeah, I'm with you. I don't care much for the switch, and I think the two of them alone could. What they can do with Harden is the same thing that they can do without. You know, can he win a title with them? I don't know. I mean, the guy had multiple chances with different teams, and it's not like Anthony Davis, who made the decision, who you knew was still on his way up. I mean, there comes a time where people stop rewarding people for potential. you know,
It's true.
he
And I
is.
mean,
Yeah.
with their assets they have on their team, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, I agree with that. It's just like you said, it would just be like giving more to something that's already strong. It's just not necessary.
Yep. Well, shoot. All right. Hey, we dipped our toe in the NBA, and now we're jumping neck deep back into the NFL because this portion is called the NFL Pick Six. We've been doing it every week. We are the host, battling the guest. Last week, our guest was Chris Ships, and Chris Ships kicked our butt. Congratulations to Chris Ships. You were 4-2. I was 2-4. Rob was 2-4. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the games that he picked or whatever that put him over the top, but this is our overall right now. You are still over 500, 25 and 21.
Floating.
Our guests are 27 and 19, and I am 19 and 27. I am the anti-guest, if you will. There was a tie there, but I'm just going raw wins and losses right now because at this point, with all of us having a tie, the tie is not relevant.
Hmm.
So, because we all picked a team, I think we all picked the Eagles, and I think they tied with the Bengals or something like that.
Yeah,
That's how
something
that
like
happened.
that.
So this week, my man, our special guest is the one, the only, put him up, Cam Beans! Cameron Beans, who was on the Option Podcast last week, who's been promoting his Chesapeake Elite Volleyball Academy. He basically helps develop people's individual skill sets and does promotional videos to help them get recruited. And he's got some, I don't know what's in the drinking water in Chesapeake, but these girls are like cave trolls, man. And cave trolls that can play ball, man. So big up to Cam. Yep. Big up to Cam. I know he said same thing. Shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? You guys watch each other from afar, and there it is. Both volleyball players. First game, we're going to go Thursday game. Of course, let's go as early as Thursday. We have the Cardinals visiting the Seahawks. Rob, who's going to win?
I think Cardinals had a real emotional game. So I really think that going to the Seahawks, I think that the Seahawks are really going to come out strong. They've had a tough couple of games, so I'm going to go Seahawks on this one.
Yeah, Seahawks do extremely well on the road. I mean, at home, so much so that you can count on your hands how many times they've lost games at home. And ironically enough, one of their last losses at home happened to be the Arizona Cardinals. But the 12th man will definitely be there in spirit. Russell Wilson, even when he makes mistakes, even on his worst day, he's still in the game. You've never seen him out of the game except the Buffalo Bills game a couple of weeks ago. And I still think Kyler Murray's got another year to pass Russell Wilson. Yeah, right. I mean, in so many ways, he's better, but Russell Wilson is Kyler Murray. Still Kyler Murray 2.0. I'm going Seahawks. And Kameron Beans, who did you pick, bruh? I got to get to your text. The man text me his winners. He's a last-minute super sub, too, so I'm eternally grateful. And Cam Beans is going to go, let's do that. Sorry, Cardinals. Cam Beans is going Cardinals. All right, so Game 2, the Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz visiting the Cleveland Browns. I'll go first on this one. Bow wow wow diddy Cleveland's in the house. That came up messed up. But you know what's not gonna come out messed up? Baker Mayfield. I think he's got great relationship with Jarvis Landry. Their running game, their two-headed beast is back with Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Myles Garrett is leading the lead in sacks right now, and mind you, that's only a statistic. That doesn't count the number of times he's pressuring people and in everybody's face. The man is at the scene of the crime everywhere, and he'll definitely be at the scene of the crime here. I'm going Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm just going to agree with you. As long as it's not the Philadelphia Eagles, I will pick that team.
So you going Browns?
Yes.
All right, my man Cam Beans. Who you got? He's going with the dog pound too. He's got the Browns. Cam Beans got the Browns. Game 3, we have the Falcons visiting the New Orleans Saints. Rob.
I'm going to go with Saints on this one. Keep it quick.
I'm going to go with the Falcons on this for the upset. All of their games have been, all of their losses have been collapses, but since their coach got fired, I felt like they righted the wrong, and with Drew Brees out for the next couple of weeks, and the Saints hell-bent on having Winston start instead of our all-purpose guy. I forgot that guy, Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's an upset pick, but in order for me to catch up with you guys, I got to pick against you. Okay, so, and our man, Kameron Beans, says the Saints will be marching on. All right, we got game 4. Let's see, Titans, Ravens. I got to go first on this one. Got to go Baltimore Ravens. I think it's going to be a game of chess, and I think as much as I respect Mike Vrabel, I think one of the sickest chess players we know is John Harbaugh. And in light of the fact Lamar might be a little angry and crass about losing to and they dropped a dumb one this weekend, Patriots. So
it was terrible conditions, though. Not great for his kind of throwing style either.
Yeah, or running style for that matter. But
yeah.
So what do you got? Titans
yeah,
or Ravens?
I'm gonna. Oh, you still pick?
I'm going Ravens.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with Titans on this one. I think especially after last week, it's kind of a mental, not a collapse, but it's just like difficult, playing from one environment now going to another environment, and then the Titans are really good against the run. They also have to fight against the Derrick Henry every day in practice, so they understand what it's going to take to bring down a tough runner. So. I really like what the Titans do, and I think they're a tough team to beat, and this is the game they kind of come in and win.
All right, and our guy Cam Beans, oh hot damn, this is our Cam. He picks the Titans. All right, game 5 in our pick 6 segment. We have the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, that bad man, visiting the Indianapolis Colts, navigated by Phil Rivers. Who do you got, Rob?
Well, I mean, I feel like this is going to be a tougher game than people think, and I really like what the Colts have going on. But I'm just not going to pick against my Packers this year. I just think they got good connection this year, and we'll see what happens. So I'm picking the Packers.
The only problem I have more with this game are just the fantasy projectors more than just watching a fun game. I had Jake the starting running back from Indianapolis, and the backup running back ended up having 28 fantasy points. And the only redeeming thing about that is I had him on my roster to make sure nobody can screw me. So I had both of them, but unfortunately I had him on the bench. 90 points on the bench total, which is more points that I got from my starter. So fun fantasy thing. So for my fantasy people, if you want to start Hines, do it because he's getting bang for his buck. But do not pick the Colts on this. I'm going with the Packers, and so is Kameron Beans. You are going Packers. All right, last game of the Pick Six, Rob. We are going Rams Monday night game. Rams visiting the Bucks. I'm going to go first on this one. The Bucks have some kinks they need to fix, but it seems like every time they have a problem, the very next week, as little as the very next week, they work on fixing it or they have fixed it. And in this copycat league, you have to continue to fix problems, and nobody's a better problem fixer in this league than Tom Brady. Tom Brady against Goff, with all things considered, good coaches. I got to go Brady, and I'm going with the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's happened with the Bucks this year. They've had like amazing games and terrible games and then okay games. So they've just been all over the place. Man, this is difficult. I'm gonna go with the Rams in this one. I just feel like the Bucks are too up and down, and the Rams are very consistent this year. As tough as it's been, they've been very consistent, and so I'm gonna hop with the Rams on this one.
Rob McLean, the man with testicular fortitude. But maybe you just trust their defense, man. I mean, Aaron Donald's a problem.
Man. Aaron Donald, and
Ramsey's a problem. I mean, last week they won, and Aaron Donald didn't even get a sack. It was everybody else because they were paying attention to him.
Last week I was watching Tampa Bay have a lot of issues running the ball, so we'll see what's going on.
Yeah, or maybe just the Saints own them. They're 7-3, and two of the three losses are the Saints. That's crazy. I mean, well, Beans is going with the Bucks. He's going with me on this one. But I honestly, I like your pick. It is something that you do have to take a deep breath and let it out. And so,
well, I mean, you got to think 2 years ago, Sean McVay was up for Coach of the Year, and Jared Goff was like best comeback player of the year, and right in the MVP conversation. Not really close. Maybe top 5, top 7, but. He's right in there as one of the best quarterbacks. And then there was a big drop off. There was a lot of talent lost on that team. So you don't really know. Like, just like you're saying with the Falcons, it could just be like a little switch and they're back to playing a high level.
No doubt. Okay, so that takes care of NFL. And now, Rob McLean. We move on to one of my favorite categories, even though there hasn't been a whole lot of 1-minute subject matters. With no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this is Shame or No Shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
Come check out. Here we go. So, Rob McLean, starting the clock for us right now. Let's do that, and let's do this. Rob McLean, to shame or not to shame? The Browns are up 10-7. Nick Chubb breaks one with 50 seconds left, decides to run out of bounds before he scores. Shame or no shame? Do you take the points on that, or do you do what he does?
Well, I say shame just because, if you're going to do some, and you're going to try to do the smart thing, at least, do it without, making it look like all crazy. Because, as much as you're trying to do good things, you still want your team to go and win this victory in like a good, smooth, clean way. You don't want to, start second guessing yourself. So if you're going to do, the knee down or whatever, do it and just do it smooth. If not, then just score the touchdown.
Yeah, look, the only shame I have in this, Rob, is that he forgot. I mean, if he remembered, he would have taken the knee inbounds and the clock could have kept running and then won victory formation. But I got to go no shame, because if he scores and the Browns have to play defense, there's a chance that players can get hurt. Someone could get cut. Maybe a team's angry and crash that they're losing. Maybe take a cheap shot. You avoid all of that traffic just by doing the victory formation. So shame That he, sorry, shame that he, let's reverse that. Yeah, shame that he ran out of bounds and forgot because now you stopped the clock, but lucky for them, the other team didn't have any timeouts left anyway, so they did the victory formation, but no shame because you put in team first instead of Las Vegas betting line or fantasy owners first. So. Guys, that concludes Shame or No Shame. We're almost through this, and we are going to finish up with quick question. Quick questions. Quick questions. Thank you, Fighter and the Kid, for that musical bite that I just bit from them, but got to cite my sources. Got to be real. Rob, quick question. Who has a better shot at making the playoffs, the Dolphins or the Raiders?
You know, a quick question. Yeah, I'll have to say the Dolphins.
I got to say
know.
Dolphins. I say Dolphins. Yeah. Yep. Rob, quick question. Do the Patriots have a shot at the playoffs?
A shot, yeah. Do I think they'll make it in? No.
Me, no. I say no. I got Buffalo and Miami out of that, and I can't say they'll make it in the same breath and at the same time pick Miami to go in, so I'd be contradicting myself. Quick question, Rob. Paul Felder, the Irish Dragon, fought over the weekend. Last minute fight. He was in a triathlon, but came in and super sub to fight RDA, who, by the way, has the toughest roster. If you look at RDA's last 10 fights, that's savage. But Irish Dragon got pretty banged up. Do you think he should retire early, or you think he should keep fighting?
No, I think he should schedule a fight, have a full training camp, and then fight somebody. How about that?
It's like, dude, don't retire. Just stop doing this last minute favor shit for Dana.
Honestly, I thought he was a commentator for the last 3 years. I thought he'd been a commentator because I'd be like, yo, where's your fights at? And then, oh, yeah, like last year he started fighting again. I'm like, come on, man. Like, yo.
But in my mind, go ahead, please. No, finish.
No, it's just I think he's a high-level fighter. I think maybe he's, kind of getting to the Brandon Schaub area where he's a really good fighter, but there's levels to it, where he just kind of can't break out of his own shell and evolve his game, which I really do see. I think he's great at certain things, but there's a lot of holes in his game. And at this stage, it's like you can't learn and then hone and then master more skills. You just kind of have to get better at the things that you know. And I just don't think he possesses enough to be that championship fighter he wants to be. And I don't think he wants to fight, be that gatekeeper, play that Donald Cerrone role. And I don't think anybody really does. So
you take too much damage. You take too much damage like that in those fights. Cerrone,
and
man,
the way
a lot
that
of
he
damage,
fights.
dude. Yes.
Yeah, it's just like a Gagey, where it's like Gagey was a gatekeeper for, a couple years where he was an exciting fighter. So they kept throwing him in versus tough guys and he'd win one, he'd lose one, he'd win one, he'd lose one.
And then smartened up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then smartened up to fight a different style because, you can't just battle people out. And I think that's Paul Felder. He's a brawler. He wants to put you against the cage. He wants to control his area, make him come to you. And I just think, this game is evolving too fast. He's got a great mind for the commentating part of the sport. He's got a great mind for the sport. But putting that and executing that on the octagon, I don't think is his area anymore. But I still think he can fight. I still think he should fight. But like I'll reiterate to from before, is I just want to see him in a full camp, fully prepared, and then have an opponent that really he could have success against. And then we can see if he needs to retire. But at this point, if he's just going to keep taking short fights, yeah, I think he could retire.
But this fight, listen, this main event was so poorly promoted. In my mind,
It was.
I thought somewhere in the middle of the fight, Paul just took the headset off and said, I'll do it. I'll fight. You know what I'm saying? Because for anyone who watches mixed martial arts, this is equivalent to basically just someone getting out of the suit and going back and changing and coming over, okay? The only reason why he even made weight is because he was training for a triathlon. So he already had that. But I agree with you. He shouldn't retire, but he needs to chill and properly prepare for some of these fights, especially fights he's going to take a lot of damage. I mean, that fight with Dan Hooker, that was 5 rounds of just
how about like just prepare for a fight that's going to be some against a championship fighter? How about prepare for a fight when it's in a 5 round fight? Like that's just, I think that should just not be legal. You know, you can super sub a fight for a 3 round fight, but
That's
there's
what I
got
was
to be
thinking.
some sort of like maybe there's a rule against it where your last fight or in the last fight or two you've had to have had a 5 round fight because
That'd be
you
the
know
only way I'd take that fight in the main event.
that's
It,
just
it couldn't be
crazy.
5 rounds. You know what I mean? Look, training for the triathlon, of course you got the cardio, but you're not getting punched in the face and look, RDA we know could do some damage, man. You even the fights he's lost, you come out of those fights not the same. So, yeah. So there goes our quick question. We had to extend that one, but because
A little bit.
we owe it to the guy we love, the Irish Dragon comes to ball, and we got to give him his respect.
Absolutely.
Quick question: how many years does LeBron James have left? I'll go first on this. I'll say 2. He has more than 2 years left, but I think he's gonna self-assess and be like, you know what? I did 4 years everywhere. This 4-year contract with the Lakers. I really contingent on how many rings he wins. I say 2. I say 2 more.
So I say 4, and I think a lot of that is really around his son. He's trying to get his son to play with him in the league before he retires, and I think his son's like 17 right now. So
And a
give
phenom like
him
his dad.
right. Well, high
Not like his
school
dad.
phenom. So
Yeah.
whatever that means.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that he's just going to try to stay around for that. So 4 years for me. I'd say 4.
Okay. Quick question: can the Dodgers be repeat champions? Can the Dodgers win the World Series next year?
Again, can they? Yes. Will they? No.
I think they can and they will. Quick question: um, can the Nets win the title if they get Harden? We can skip that. I already said no. They're not going to win the title with Harden. I mean, I don't know. They have a better chance of winning without, so I'm skipping that.
I
Unless you want
mean,
to answer
the
that.
East is pretty, shallow. Wherever Giannis goes, and then the Heat is the top of the East. Like, so the East is wide open. Toronto is the top of the East. Boston,
Yeah.
the East
Well,
is
they'll
wide
get
open.
there. I mean, they got enough to get there.
Yeah, they're gonna get there, and then think about the team they're gonna be facing. Like they have no perimeter defense. The Lakers, so I gotta give them an edge in the essence of just how a team would, shape against them. But I think they're trying to bring D'Antoni in there to play Kevin at the 5 and then run a small team.
Okay.
And I don't like that at all. But hey,
Cool.
they did it in Golden State, so you got to be cool with it. Sorry, quick question.
Nah, hey, quick question. Going to boxing. Crawford drops Kell Brook via 4th-round TKO. Crawford now is 37-0, 28 KOs. Can Crawford make it to 40-0?
Yes, he's number 1 in my book, pound for pound. That's my dude right there.
Yep. And I say an emphatic yes to that quick question. He can and will be 40-0. Guys, that concludes quick question. And now, before we go, my shout out doesn't go to anybody local, but goes to someone professionally, Alex Smith. Welcome back to the NFL. They had some injuries for the Washington football team. Still can't get used to that name. But it seems like he's going to be their starter at least from here for the next few weeks. Passed for 390 yards. As far as yards passing, he was the leader this weekend. From a guy who was inches away from having his leg amputated and sewn off, sawed off, to somebody who not only saved his leg, but is trying to find a way to resuscitate his career. Glad to see him back in the NFL, right? Look, he got pushed out by Kaepernick because Kaepernick was better. But people forget he got to the NFC Championship game before Kaepernick even came along. That was against the Giants, and I know you remember that. So he gets pushed out, goes to Kansas City. Kaepernick goes to the Super Bowl the next year, right? But then after that, Kaepernick is 2-14. And what does he do? He goes to Kansas City. He's 13-3. It's like 12-4. So it's like everywhere he goes.
Consistent.
Yeah. So yeah, not the guy everybody talks about, but 64 quarterbacks as far as starters and backups in the league. He more than belongs. He more than belongs. Glad to have him back. Good job, Alex Smith.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, my shout out, no offense to you, but it would just be to the Buffalo Bills defense. The reason why Hail Marys don't work is because you swat the ball away. You don't try to catch the ball. When you try to catch the ball, other people catch the ball. So that's how you swat the ball away. That's my good riddance.
Honestly, I'd stand right next to him, and as soon as he jumped and put both hands up, I'm gonna have a hand right up the middle and uppercut that ball out of the way. The problem is
you
it
don't
might
want to
land in
pop the
someone
ball up
else's
though.
hands.
You just want to
Right.
you want to spike the ball down. You want to hit the ball straight down.
Smack his hand, right? Right? Smack his
anything.
hand off. Clean off, Rob. Yo, so, all right, so shoot. That's all I got, man. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
I'm Gucci, man.
You Gucci. I like it. You are the Gucci man. All right, so check it out. Rob might love you, but you know what? I think I'll love you guys too this week, okay? I need love, so I got to give love back. You guys give me love, and I got to give back, man. Come on, man. That's driven by virtue and passion. But that's all we got for this week, all right? So for everybody at home, for everybody on their iPad, everyone on their Droid, everybody on the desktop who runs the world, old school. For Rob, keep it McLean. This is episode 42 of Sports Debate Tuesday. I'm Jason DeBeas, and we say, we're out. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionDB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.